Hello everyone, welcome to the DLC family channel. It's just me here today. If you follow us on social media, you should have recently seen that we did a poll. And we also did a Q&A a few weeks back asking everyone what are some topics that you guys would like for us to discuss and talk about via video. And interestingly enough, a common topic was the process of buying a home. Decided to make this video to share my personal experience in hope that it can help anyone. In school, we don't get educated on the importance of, having good credit and staying out of debt. And these are factors that should be taught to us early on because, again, they can definitely get in between any future projects that any of us may have. Like, for example, buying a home, which is a huge project. So I hope that you guys can stick around for a few good tips. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, make sure you hit that button. Reflecting back on my personal experience, I was 24 years old when I bought my first home. It's the only home I have, but I was 24 years old. We recently had our daughter. And, we were kind of focused on getting our lives together. So what I first did, I took a first-time homebuyers course that a colleague of mine had actually recommended when she bought her home. And that was the first step I made prior to even sitting down with a mortgage originator. You kind of get some very useful knowledge on what it is to really be a landlord and what it really is to get into a home and the responsibilities that are attached to being a homeowner. So that was really great. I highly recommend that if anyone finds themselves struggling on starting the process of buying a home, the first step they take is completing a first-time homebuyers course. Highly recommend it. So after I completed that program, I went and sat down with another colleague of mine who's actually a mortgage originator, and I explained to her everything going on in my life. So, I just had a baby, and I feel like it's kind of time for me to grow up and get my life together. And even though I was super skeptical that I would have even been approved for a home, I still took the risk, because that's another thing. A lot of people, a lot of us, we kind of doubt ourselves and we don't think that we're ready for something. But the only way to find out is actually by going through a process. If you don't take the risk of going through a certain process, you're never going to find out if you're ready or not. So that's my other recommendation. If you think you have good credit, even if you're not fully ready, just go have a mortgage originator run some numbers for you. You never know. You're probably ready and you never even thought you were. So I went to sit down with her and she encouraged that I apply. She said, "This is amazing. This is a great idea. You're so young. We don't know what your credit is like, but let's pull some numbers. You never know what comes about." And sure enough, I was approved for $500,000 to buy a property. And let me tell you something. $500,000, I was sweating in places I didn't even knew I sweated. So it was very intimidating because, again, I'm 24 years old. There's so much things going on in my life, so many different changes. And then I'm hit with a reality of being held liable for $500,000. That's a big deal if you ask me. We were discussing the necessary conditions that I had to meet. Because, of course, it's not just that easy. You just don't walk out with $500,000 to go buy whatever home you want. I have about 8 years now working for the financial industry, so I have some knowledge on the process of buying a home, but it was good to hear it from someone that strictly deals with that process. I highly recommend that if you're someone who does not take your credit score and creditworthiness into consideration, definitely do so. You can have as much money in the world, and if you are not credit worthy, you will not be approved for a loan. And don't get me wrong, I have seen scenarios where people with bad credit scores and low credit scores get approved for a home, but you want to make sure that you're actively working on your credit score and maintaining a good credit score, because you just want to make sure that you get the best deal out of the entire process. You don't want to be stuck paying too high of an interest rate, or you don't want to be stuck with a mortgage payment that you find is very uncomfortable for you. So having a good credit score is definitely ideal for the first-time home buyers process. Another topic that came into place was savings account. So how much money do you have sitting in a savings account? Fees involved in buying a home. Ridiculous amount of fees, to be quite honest with you. So you want to make sure that you have a good amount set aside in a savings account so that you are fully prepared for the expenses that are to come, because they're very substantial. Getting very personal, I had about $30,000 set aside on a savings account just because that was what they recommended. I mean, your mortgage originator is also going to be very open and honest with you. They're going to give you all these figures, and they're going to tell you what they find is reasonable for you to have set aside for the process. It doesn't mean you're going to use all of it, but they need to remain liquid, and you need to make sure that you're not actively touching this money. And the last topic that we discussed was debt. And I know debt can be a very uncomfortable conversation for a lot of us, especially the adolescents. I feel like we can take the world. So we commit to these crazy amounts of debt. For example, school debt, credit card debt. And honestly, my main recommendation to anyone, regardless of age, regardless of race, regardless of social status, regardless of income, stay away from debt. Because debt can be good to a certain point, but it also can interfere the most when it comes to your future plans. You have to keep in mind that a lender does want to see that you have debt, but they also want to make sure that you're able to manage your debt and you're able to properly pay your debt. So if there's a few takeaways that I want you all to keep in mind from this video, it's 3 main things. Creditworthiness, making sure that you're actively working on your credit score. Savings account, make sure you save. I know it may seem impossible to save, especially with all the financial responsibilities we have going on, but make sure that you're stacking away some money. And third of all, debt to income ratio. Control your debt, manage your debt. Don't commit to every type of debt that there is. Learn how to say no when it comes to credit cards and all these crazy amounts of debts that we like to get into. And a little piece of advice is, I know we're in a very tricky real estate market. We are in what's considered a seller's market, which is very discouraging for a lot of people, because you look at the prices of these homes and you really can't justify them. But if you're like me, who's a risk taker, I'm all about taking chances, and I'm all about making the best of what I can. So if I'm presented with an opportunity, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna run with it, and if it works for me, and if I'm able to effectively manage it, then I'm gonna go with it. So if you have the opportunity of getting into a house in today's market, take it. It's better, to me, it's much better than renting, because if you think about it, when you rent, you're pretty much just providing for someone else's wealth. A house is sort of like a inverse savings account. So don't be afraid to commit to a home if you're approved for a mortgage loan. Again, I hope that this video was able to serve some purpose to some of you. And if you don't mind, just leave a comment below just so I know where your head is at when it comes to the whole process of buying a home. If you feel like you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. If you have me on social media, if you have my fiance on social media, feel free to reach out to her with any questions. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching. Bye. A house in the community I live in can easily go for over $500,000, and is it really worth it? No, don't even put that. Don't put that. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up at that, and thank you so much for watching.
There's no such thing as 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, but I'm just being funny, babe. Date tranquila.